The numbers are grim, and the mood across the American heartland is even grimmer. U.S. wheat exports have plunged to a 53-year low, with just 17.7 million metric tons projected for 2024-2025. For a nation that once fed the world, this is a staggering reversal. This isn't just a dip. It's a seismic shift for thousands of American farming families, whose livelihoods are now hanging by a thread. Years of mounting pressure, drought, rising costs, and global competition have hollowed out what was once an agricultural powerhouse, leaving scars across the landscape. The trade war with China, launched with promises of American resurgence, has instead alienated key buyers and shattered long-standing relationships. Markets that took generations to build have vanished almost overnight. Rural communities now face empty silos, denied loans, and a sense of abandonment. Small towns that once thrived on agriculture are struggling to survive. The Purdue Ag Economy Barometer has plummeted for 3 straight months, reflecting deep despair and uncertainty about the future. Farm bankruptcies surged by 55% in 2024, and the trend is only worsening. Generations of family legacy are being auctioned off, piece by piece. The promise of a rural renaissance has faded, replaced by a harsh new reality, one where hope is in short supply and uncertainty reigns. This isn't just a market fluctuation, it's a fundamental rewiring of the global food system. New suppliers are stepping in, and America's role is shrinking. America's agricultural dominance is unraveling, and the consequences are being felt in every corner of the heartland. The future of rural America, and its place in the world's food chain, hangs in the balance. Why are global buyers abandoning U.S. wheat? Once, American wheat was the gold standard, reliable, plentiful, and trusted by nations around the globe. But today, the world is looking elsewhere, and the reasons run deeper than you might think. It comes down to price and trust. These two factors are the lifeblood of international trade, and both are slipping away from U.S. wheat producers. A strong U.S. dollar has made American wheat too expensive, pricing farmers out of key markets. As the dollar climbs, so do costs for overseas buyers, making U.S. wheat less attractive compared to global competitors. Meanwhile, Russia, Canada, Australia, and the EU are flooding the market with cheaper, high-quality grain. These countries have ramped up production, investing in infrastructure and building strong relationships with buyers. The Trump administration's tariffs and trade war have only fueled instability, eroding the trust that underpins long-term supply contracts. Buyers worry that political decisions could disrupt shipments overnight. Buyers are diversifying, seeking stability elsewhere to avoid getting caught in U.S. political crossfire. They're forging new partnerships and spreading their risk across multiple suppliers. The result? A wave of order cancellations, including China's massive 504,000 metric ton withdrawal. These aren't just numbers, they represent lost opportunities and broken relationships. For American farmers, these lost sales are devastating. Crops planted in hope now sit unsold. Many are left wondering if their livelihoods can survive another season like this. The message from the world is clear. U.S. wheat is too risky and too costly. Buyers are voting with their wallets, and the verdict isn't in America's favor. Buyers want reliable partners, not political uncertainty. They need to know their contracts will be honored, and their supply won't be interrupted by sudden policy changes. The global market is moving on, and the U.S. is being left behind. Other nations are stepping up, eager to fill the gap and win over former American customers. This isn't just about price, it's about trust, and America has lost it. Rebuilding that trust will take time, effort, and a willingness to listen to what the world is saying. The world has options, and it's exercising them. Buyers are exploring new sources, comparing quality, and making deals that once would have gone to the U.S. The U.S. is no longer the default choice. If American wheat wants to reclaim its place, it must adapt to a new reality, one where trust and value matter more than ever. As U.S. farmers struggle, Canada is thriving. By February 2025, Canadian wheat exports soared 12% over the previous year, reaching 12.6 million tons. Canada's edge: competitive prices, high quality, and a stable political climate. Global buyers, wary of U.S. volatility, are turning north for reliability. A favorable exchange rate and open trade policies have given Canadian farmers a clear advantage. Canada's guest worker program ensures farms are well-staffed, unlike the labor shortages plaguing the U.S. Billions in lost U.S. market share. are being captured by Canadian producers. Canada isn't just selling wheat, it's selling stability. The sight of Canadian combines rolling through abundant fields is a stark symbol of shifting global power. One nation's political gamble has become another's windfall. The global breadbasket is moving north. China's pivot away from U.S. wheat is reshaping global markets. The cancellation of 504,000 metric tons of U.S. wheat was a clear signal. China is done relying on American grain. This isn't just retaliation, it's about food security and supporting Chinese farmers. With a bumper domestic harvest, China is limiting imports to prop up local prices. The trade war accelerated China's search for new suppliers, forging ties with Russia, the EU, and others. These new relationships are here to stay, even if U.S. policy changes. In 2024, China was a $25 billion market for U.S. agriculture. Now, that door is closing. The American farmer has lost access to what was once a limitless market. China is building a great wall against U.S. agricultural imports, and it may be permanent. Behind the numbers are real people, farmers facing a daily struggle for survival. Low crop prices, rising costs, and lost export markets have created a perfect storm. Storage bins overflow with unsold grain, and cash flow has dried up. Bankruptcies are surging, and for many this may be their last year on the land. Bailouts from Washington feel like hush money, temporary fixes that don't restore lost markets. The stress is overwhelming, with suicide rates among farmers rising. Many feel betrayed by policies that were supposed to protect them. Once loyal to Trump, some now question their support as their livelihoods vanish. The silence in the fields is one of quiet despair. The heartland is hurting, and hope is in short supply. The farm crisis unfolding across America is the result of a political gamble gone wrong, leaving rural communities reeling from the consequences. Once thriving fields now stand as silent reminders of decisions made far from the land itself. Trump's trade war was meant to force concessions from global rivals, but instead, it destroyed vital export markets that farmers had spent decades building. Shipments stalled, silos filled up, and the world looked elsewhere for grain. Promised new trade deals never materialized. Instead, farmers faced chaos, uncertainty, and a patchwork of government bailouts that failed to make up for lost income or stability. Key USDA programs, once lifelines for innovation and support, have been frozen or canceled, deepening the sense of uncertainty and leaving farmers without crucial resources. Congress, meanwhile, has limited its own power to challenge tariffs or intervene, leaving farmers with few options and little recourse as policy battles play out in Washington. Democrats call for an end to the trade war, warning that the markets lost may never return, and that the damage to America's agricultural reputation could be lasting. The Farm Bill, a cornerstone of rural policy, is set to expire with no replacement in sight, leaving vital programs and protections in limbo. Farmers are caught in a political crossfire, their livelihoods and futures held hostage by forces beyond their control, forced to make impossible choices as uncertainty grows. Once a bedrock of Republican support, rural America is now questioning its loyalty, as frustration and doubt ripple through small towns and farming communities. The future of American farming hangs in the balance, waiting for a course correction that may never come. For many, the hope for stability and prosperity feels more distant than ever before. The wheat crisis marks a permanent shift in global agriculture. America's era as the world's breadbasket is ending, undone by a few years of volatile policy. Competitors like Canada, Russia, and the EU are forging long-term relationships with major importers. New supply chains, built on price and stability, will be hard to break. Even if U.S. policy reverses, lost customers may never return. The industry faces painful restructuring, fewer farms, more consolidation, and greater reliance on subsidies. The old model of endless global demand is broken. The very identity of rural America is at stake. The world has responded to U.S. protectionism by moving on. As the dust settles, the American farmer is no longer king.